Good evening, everybody. Nice to see you all. Welcome to the Chatter House. Just to remind everybody, the group is now a public group. If you are coming in tonight and you are not a member of the group, you will not be able to make any comments. They have to be authorized by the admin. You're more than welcome to join. And it's very nice to see everybody in tonight. We're live on Facebook tonight, and we are also live on YouTube on the Chatter House. I can't even remember the YouTube channel name. That's where I am tonight. Honest to God, it's been one of those days. Yes, so we're live. The YouTube channel is called at Chatter House. I can't, you know something? I do this every day at Chatter House 55, something like that. Anyway, you'll see it anyway. So we're live in both platforms tonight. Well, listen, folks, thanks very much for joining me today or tonight or whatever, and it's very nice to see you all. Just before we start today, just a couple of wee things to run through before I do the roll call. Anybody who is new in tonight, because I think I did see one person in new there. The way it normally works is, folks, if you're in the comments, if you like to remain in the background, just stay in the background. But if you'd like me to mention that you're in, please comment. Why we do this really is because sometimes in the Chatter House we do talk about sensitive issues, and if you like just to come in to listen, you can stay in the background. But if you like to be known that you are here, please say hello. And what way I started off of the evening is I do a roll call of all who's in, and then we'll get into what we're doing tonight. Okay, just before we start tonight, just to let you know that Auntie Lillian herself will be here on, it's a wee bit of a different night for us, on Thursday night for Auntie Lillian's Price is Right. The events are on the featured part of the group. If you'd like to attend, please mark yourself down as going. More than welcome, you know what I mean. And anyway, anybody who is new or is seeing this for the first time, if you have any friends or anyone who you feel would like to join our group and to join in, please invite them. You're more than welcome. Okay, folks, so let's see who is in tonight. Now, I'm actually not expecting too many in tonight because I know some of the members are doing other things, but we will have a duke anyway and see. Right, let's go to the Chatter House. Nothing's coming up on YouTube at the minute, even though there's 2 people watching. So let's have a wee duke to see who's in. Don't forget, I only comment and say hello to the people who has spoken. Anybody in the background will remain in the background, but I hope you all say hello. It would be nice to say hello. Straight through the door is my local historian, Carrie Ferguson. If anybody doesn't know why I call Carrie, that is because sometimes Carrie and I do an After Dark series which goes into history. And usually the history that we get into is not too nice. It's horrible histories and things like that there. That's a later one. That's usually after 9 p.m. And we actually have one of those coming up very, very soon. So keep an eye out for that. So Carrie Ferguson's in. Miss Chatterhouse is in. Our Michelle McGrogan's through the door as well. David Thompson's in. Nice to see our David. Catherine Playfair is in. Our Catherine. And if one day I should become a singer with a Spanish bum, our Jackie McFarlane's in as well. But I think that's it, actually, at the moment. He has commented. There is someone else in there, but as I say, the rules are I will not mention you unless you say hello to me. Once again, if you are coming in tonight, if you do try to comment and you're not a member of the group, the comments will have to be approved by the admins. But if you want to join the group, you're more than welcome. And just to bear in mind, the members that normally come in, everyone can see this tonight. It's not just us. So just to let you know, because the Chatterhouse was private there, folks, for a long time, and we've opened up again to get some new membership in. Now, there's quite a few watching here on YouTube, but nobody has commented yet. Anybody on YouTube tonight, folks, don't forget, if you are no, Ricky, it's not a recording, love. Our Ricky's in. Yes, anybody on YouTube who's watching tonight, make sure your comments are set to live comments, not top comments, because that means I only see certain ones. Ricky goes, wow. And by the way, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget, if you haven't done so already, where the hell is it? Organized chaos tonight, honest to goodness. Where's my thing? There's it there. If you haven't done this yet, please consider doing so. It's totally free, doesn't cost you a penny, and then you'll be notified whatever is happening. So let's quickly go over to YouTube before we start. Don't forget, if you are coming in, don't forget to say hello on Facebook as well. So our Ricky's in on YouTube, and also Tim for Life has entered the building as well. Good evening, Stuart, and good evening to the Chatterhouse. Hiya, Tim, dear. And Tim's going, right. Is it okay to share? Yes, Jackie, it is indeed. It's okay to share, because the more the merrier. Because if you share now, it means that it goes out there. It just doesn't. Before you couldn't do it, now you can. Waving away like Magnus. Do you remember him? All that. Okay. Right. Tonight, at the last minute, we were originally going to be Trevor McKeown's in. Oh my God, Trevor, long time no see. Oh my God, Trevor was a member of the Natter House as well. And our Trevor vanishes now and again, then he just appears. But it's nice to see you back, Trevor. It's nice to see you in. So it is. That's all right, Jared. Right, so tonight I changed things a bit. Because I got up this morning, jeez, I'm hitting the mic and everything. I got up this morning and I was looking at things happening in the news at the moment, and at the minute there's a bit of a you-ha going on about. Now, I'm going to explain this case that I'm going to talk about tonight. People in Northern Ireland will be very familiar with it. Some people who are not Northern Ireland might not be, but there's a bit of a, well, there's going to be an inquiry in January into this case, and the investigations, as far as I know, has started already. And that is the story, see if I can get the surname right now, of Noah Donahoe. I think I've said that right. If I haven't said it right, somebody correct me. Now, Noah Donahoe was 14-year-old and went out of his house and went missing. But there's more to the story. And this is the most, we have covered things before, and I'm just going to say this is the most complex story I have ever looked at it, and I'm going to be quite honest with you, I have been at this all day in between running about whatever I had to do earlier on. It's the most complex story. Right, so what I'm going to do is I invite Noah. Sorry, am I saying Noel? Sorry, I do apologise. Noah. I actually meant to say Noah, but it probably came out wrong. I got the surname correct. Thank you, Carrie. That's my admins to keep me right. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have a video here that's going to tell us the story. It's basically the timeline of what happened. But before we do so, I just want to give a wee quick sort of background here. Noah's mum is called Fiona. Fiona is originally from a place here called Strabane. Fiona went to England to live for a while. Yes, I am. Tim's just telling me to be careful. I'm only going by what's documented, Tim. You know what's there. So it's absolutely fine. It's an inquest generally that I think's happening at the moment. So I'm only putting out what's there and what has been said already. So I'm not getting into any controversy or anything like that. Right, okay. Tim, I'm used to getting into trouble anyway, so it doesn't matter. That's the GP surgery, so that's a different story. Right, okay. So, Fiona was originally from Strabane, and Fiona decided to go to England to live for a while. Thank you, Tim. And she went over to England for a while, and then she went to work in America. Now, when she was in America, she was there for quite a while, and she realised then that she was pregnant with Noah. So, because of her circumstances in America, she generally wasn't, I'll do this in a nice way, she wasn't really supposed to be there. And also, because of that situation, she thought she would come back home for the sake of her child. So she very briefly came back to Strabane, but then she decided when Noah was born to give him the best opportunity in life and the best maybe schooling or whatever. She moved to Belfast. So Fiona moved to Belfast, and Noah went through life up till he was 14. When Noah was growing up, Noah was very, very exceptional at school. Very clever at school. He was passed all his exams. Very, very clever and excelled in everything that he did. It was always Noah and his mum. They had a bond that nobody could describe. Now, I'm just going to give you a wee bit of something here before we go into the story. Where Noah and Fiona lived, I think it was either across the road or next door. I think it was actually across the road. Now, please don't think we are being disrespectful here for what I am saying. There was social housing for people with difficulties, place like a hostel, opened very close by. Now, Fiona had reason to complain a few times about basically people loitering outside, behaviour, drug use and different things and whatever. So that's all I'm going to say about that, because this all ties. You'll see where we're going with this. Okay. So on the 1st of June 2020, COVID was just over. The lockdown was just over. The day before, Noah had went to see his friend Jay the day before, because he hadn't seen his friends for a long time. He kept in contact with them via Discord. Anybody who doesn't know what Discord is, very similar to Facebook Messenger, like Zoom, or it's just another social media, right? It was originally started for gaming and stuff like that there. Okay. So he hadn't seen his friends for months. Hadn't seen his friends for months. So the next day, after he had met Jay, he decided that he was going to meet his other friends. Now, the purpose of this meeting was that Noah was participating in the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. And he was going to do something with his friends about this. I don't know exactly what it was, but he was meeting up with his friends. But Noah never got there. And this is where things turn grim. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to play you the timeline video of actually what happened. And if I feel the way I normally do this, you've probably seen me doing this before, if I feel as if I need to stop it, I will and make a comment, okay? Don't worry, we'll not be done for copyright for these or anything, because these are just basically videos that people have made themselves. So if you just bear with me, I shall get the video ready. So what I'm actually going to do is, anybody who hasn't seen this before, for the new people, I'm actually going to go very small, because I am aware that some people are watching these on their phones. So I am going to go tiny-whiny, okay? So I'm just going to go like that. And this is the story, the timeline of what happened, but there's more after this. So here we go. Now, where do we see? Here we go.
14-year-old Noah Donahoe left home one summer evening on his bike and never came back. Hours later, a boy matching his description was seen riding naked through a Belfast neighbourhood. Then he vanished. 6 days later, Noah's body was found deep inside a storm drain. Each answer only raised more questions. How did a promising student wind up in a tunnel he'd never known existed? Why were his belongings scattered across an unfamiliar part of the city? And who were the mystery men reportedly seen in the area that day? This case has gripped Northern Ireland and sparked countless theories. In this episode, we lay out the facts, start to finish, and examine what most likely happened to Noah Donahoe. Welcome to Bad Things. Join us as we walk through the timeline, the theories, and the evidence, step by step. Sunday, June 21st, 2020. Noah Donahoe, 14, was a Year 10 student at St. Malachy's College, living with his mother, Fiona Donahoe, in South Belfast. That Sunday, he planned to cycle to Cave Hill Country Park for a Duke of Edinburgh award project. At around 5:30 p.m, he left home on his black Apollo bike, wearing a helmet and carrying a backpack with school books, his laptop, and a copy of 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Noah never arrived.
I just want you to remember that book by Jordan Peterson. I just want you to remember that book. Just keep that in your mind for later on.
By 5:50 p.m, CCTV showed him riding through Belfast city centre on Royal Avenue, far off his intended route. Notably, his backpack was no longer with him, and it remains unclear how or when he lost it. Soon after, a driver saw him fall from his bike on North Queen Street. Though dazed, Noah declined help and cycled off. Minutes later, he was seen again, completely naked, still riding his bike in a residential area off Northwood Road. CCTV from a house at 6:03 p.m. captured Noah walking naked toward a fenced utility area near a storm drain. That was the last confirmed sighting of him. When Noah failed to meet his friends, Fiona expected a check-in by 6:30 p.m. By 9:30, with no contact, she reported him missing. That night, a large-scale search began. Hundreds of volunteers joined police, combing North Belfast. Early clues. Over the following days, items began turning up across the area. Noah's bike, shoes, helmet, and a green hoodie were all found nearby. His phone was recovered from a park he'd passed earlier, but some belongings were never recovered. Most notably his grey backpack and the rest of his clothing, including his t-shirt, shorts, and underwear. The strangeness of the scene deepened public concern. Why had Noah removed his clothing? Why were items scattered in different locations? Wednesday, June 24th. PSNI Superintendent Muir Clark addressed the public. We believe Noah may have sustained a head injury which caused disorientation, leading to the removal of his clothing. Police asked for help locating the missing backpack. Fiona and her sisters appeared beside Clark, urging anyone with information to come forward. Thursday, June 25th. A breakthrough. A member of the public found Noah's backpack and turned it in. Inside, his books and laptop. But the discovery came with a twist. A man had attempted to sell Noah's laptop the night before. He was Daryl Paul, a 33-year-old heroin user with a record of theft. Paul admitted to finding the bag on Royal Avenue. CCTV supported his story. He wasn't seen near Northwood and was later ruled out as involved in Noah's disappearance. He served 3 months in prison for theft. Still.
Now, I just want to stop it for a moment because this is a very important thing that I'm going to say here. And this is fact, okay. The laptop that was mentioned. Right. Remember back to when I said that there was a hostel that had opened basically across the road or next door to where Noah and his mum lived, right? There was a girl in that hostel, and the girl had made a report that she had reason to believe that Noah had been attacked by 3 men, okay? Now, the next thing was, in a roundabout way, the laptop, after that man there, he was supposed to be one of the men who attacked him. This is all come out afterwards. The laptop was found in her bedroom. Now, the police went into her bedroom while she was in bed. They looked and searched her room. They found the laptop and let her go back to sleep and never arrested her. That's the start of it.
Still, the twist only added fuel to rumours already spreading online. False leads and online chaos. Misinformation surged. One man posted a 9-second Snapchat video claiming to have buried bodies, including Noah's. A hoax. He was arrested. Superintendent Clark condemned the rumours as completely without foundation and harmful to the investigation. Saturday, June 27th. At 9:45 a.m., Noah's body was discovered inside a storm drain, nearly a kilometre from the point where he was last seen. Specialist teams had spent days navigating the tunnel system below the neighbourhood. The drain, normally secured by a heavy padlock, had been left unlocked by a maintenance worker during a recent inspection, an oversight that would prove critical. The official line from police: no sign of foul play. Noah had drowned, likely after entering the drain voluntarily and becoming trapped.
And that statement, sorry to pause this again, that statement actually came out by the PSNI before the actual autopsy was completed and the result came through. Hello, David. So that was released. That statement was made before the official autopsy result came through.
Postmortem confirmed drowning as the cause of death. There was no significant trauma reported. Funeral and early grief. Noah was laid to rest on June 30th, dressed in his school blazer. Hundreds lined the streets. His family later described the bond between Noah and Fiona as each other's world. In a statement on July 6th, the family asked the public to avoid speculation and focus on verified information. But behind the scenes, Fiona Donahoe was growing uneasy. Unexplained developments. In August 2020, Coroner Joe McCriskin said there was no evidence of third-party involvement and urged the public to stop spreading baseless rumors. But in the months and years that followed, more questions emerged. The most jarring: Police had CCTV of Noah leaving home at 3:30 a.m. on the day he disappeared, returning soaked 35 minutes later. This secret early morning outing, unknown to his family, raised new concerns. Why was Noah out alone in the rain at that hour? Where did he go? Police didn't inform Fiona's legal team about the footage until more than 2 years later.
Okay, so I'm just going to pause it there for a moment. So there was two things mentioned there. First of all, the CCTV. Now, if anybody doesn't know, Belfast City, out of the whole of the UK, has got the most CCTV cameras in the UK. Okay? There is up to 100, at this stage, there was 180 CCTV cameras on the route that Noah took. Only 22 cameras picked up Noah. Back to that other little thing that was said there. 2 years later, it was revealed that Noah sneaked out during the night at 3:30 in the morning and returned shortly after 4. Okay. Now, at this stage, the police also said that there was they had checked Noah's social media, they had checked his phone, and at that stage, in the early days, they said that there had been no messages sent and no communication, but there was a text message sent to one of his friends. Oh, I can't remember what it said, but on the other video, it will say what he said. And on the second message, it was an Instagram message to this man that he followed, which will be revealed. I've got it written down here, who he followed quite regularly. But I don't want to say too much. I want you to hear it for yourselves. So that's 2 years had passed, and Fiona hadn't known that he had left the house before that. As far as she was concerned, the first that he left the house was that day that he didn't come back. So things were starting to open up.
Campaign for answers. Frustrated by delays and missing information, Fiona and her sister Niamh Donahoe launched a public campaign, My Noah Donahoe. Their Facebook group, Noah's Army, gained over 117,000 members. Murals appeared around Belfast with the hashtag #RememberMyNoah. Vigils and rallies followed. The pressure mounted. Meanwhile, scrutiny of the police response grew. Investigators had announced a door-to-door appeal that was never carried out. The area where Noah vanished was not immediately cordoned off. Internal documents later revealed that police chiefs had initially refused to authorize overtime on the night Noah went missing, citing financial constraints. Fiona filed formal complaints. For many, these early errors undermined confidence in the entire investigation. PII certificate and public backlash. In 2021, PSNI applied for a public interest immunity (PII) certificate to withhold certain files from the inquest. The government approved it in 2022. Officials claimed the redacted material related to intelligence methods, not central facts. But the move was widely condemned. Over 300,000 people signed a petition demanding full disclosure. As of mid-2025, the inquest into Noah's death, originally planned for 2022, has been repeatedly delayed. A new coroner is now scheduled to hear the case early next year. Fiona Donahoe remains determined to uncover what really happened. Theory number 1. Accident, misadventure. This is the official explanation endorsed by the Police Service of Northern Ireland and the original coroner. According to this theory, Noah likely crashed his bike and sustained a head injury, which left him disoriented. In this confused state, he may have begun removing his clothing, a response sometimes linked to concussion, hypothermia, or panic. From there, he stumbled into the fenced-off utility area in the Northwood neighborhood, found the unsecured storm drain, and climbed inside. Once in the pitch-black water-filled tunnel, Noah became lost or trapped and eventually drowned. Investigators point to the fact that Noah was seen alone on CCTV throughout his movements, and his post-mortem showed no signs of assault or restraint. The cause of death was consistent with drowning. According to Superintendent Muir Clark, there was no evidence to suggest foul play, and Coroner Joe McCriskin later added there was no evidence any other person was involved. The unlocked manhole, left unsecure by a maintenance worker days earlier, was a tragic factor. Without it, Noah may have never entered the tunnel at all. The unexplained 3:30 a.m. outing, seen on CCTV, adds complexity, but not contradiction. Those who support the accident theory acknowledge it's a strange detail, especially the delay in police disclosing it, but argue it doesn't change the core facts. Noah was alone, disoriented, and entered the drain on his own later that day. Theory number 2. Noah decided to end it. This theory suggests that Noah's death may have been intentional, that he chose to enter the drain with the aim of ending his life. While deeply controversial and rejected by his family, this idea has been floated by some commentators and online observers. Supporters of this theory cite the lack of any attacker or outside involvement. Noah was alone on CCTV, no suspects were ever identified, and his actions, removing clothing, entering a dangerous storm drain, could be interpreted as deliberate. He was also carrying 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson and had messaged an Instagram account he believed belonged to Peterson on the day he disappeared. Still, this theory has no direct evidence.
When we play the next video that I'm going to show you, which I'm going to tell you about shortly, this Jordan Peterson thing comes into it more, so just bear him in mind.
There was no note, no prior warning signs, and no documented mental health issues. Noah had plans to meet friends that evening. His family is adamant that he showed no signs of depression or distress. If Noah had taken his own life, we would accept it, said Neve Donahoe, but that's not what happened. Fiona Donahoe has dismissed this theory firmly. We're realists, not deluded, but there's not one word of the official narrative I accept. In the end, this theory rests on inference, not evidence, and it conflicts with the well-documented sense of optimism, planning, and purpose Noah had that day. Theory number 3. Sectarian or hate crime. Given the location where Noah disappeared, a predominantly loyalist neighbourhood in North Belfast, and the fact that he was a Catholic and of mixed race, some believe he may have been the victim of a sectarian or racially motivated attack. Tensions in the area were heightened due to the summer marching season, a period historically marked by unrest. Just weeks before, another student from Noah's school was reportedly attacked in the same area, in what was described as a religiously motivated assault. Noah's family reported that 4 separate witnesses heard screams in the Northwood area around the time he vanished. Noah could have been attacked because of where he was from, or the colour of his skin, Fiona told Vice News, adding that the area has a history of racist behaviour. Still, the physical evidence does not support this theory. Noah's body showed no signs of violent trauma, no wounds or injuries consistent with an attack. CCTV shows him alone throughout his final movements, and the time window between his fall at approximately 6 p.m. and his last sighting around 6:03 p.m. was incredibly narrow. Police have publicly stated there is no evidence of a sectarian assault. Nevertheless, in a city where historical trauma and distrust of authorities run deep, this theory continues to resonate, especially for those who feel this possibility was never seriously pursued. Theory number 4. Foul play and cover-up. This theory posits that Noah Donahoe encountered one or more individuals who directly or indirectly caused his death, and that elements of the investigation were mishandled or deliberately obscured, whether to protect someone, avoid scandal, or conceal systemic failure. The foul play component includes multiple possibilities: a robbery or assault, a coercive situation such as grooming, or a chance encounter with someone dangerous. One early rumor involved a syringe attack by a drug user, fueled in part by the fact that Noah's laptop and bag turned up in the hands of a convicted heroin addict, Daryl Paul, who tried to pawn the stolen items. Paul was ruled out as involved in Noah's disappearance, but the coincidence added a criminal undercurrent to the case. A more serious variant points to grooming or coercion. Noah's secret 3:30 a.m. outing, caught on CCTV, is central here. He left the house alone, lightly dressed, and returned soaked. Police withheld this footage from his family's legal team for over 2 years. For many, this unexplained trip strongly suggests a prior relationship or communication with someone, potentially an adult, who had influence over him. Some theorize that Noah was being exploited or manipulated into meeting someone again that day, which might explain his detour into an unfamiliar part of the city, erratic behavior, and apparent panic. From here, the theory turns darker. What if that person, or people, harmed Noah or placed him in a situation where harm became inevitable? Could he have been chased, threatened, drugged, or forced into the storm drain? Or was he trying to hide from someone when he climbed in? While no forensic evidence confirms assault, supporters argue that not all forms of coercion leave visible marks, and that tight timelines don't eliminate foul play, especially in a case with CCTV blind spots and a lack of full public disclosure. That leads into the second half of the theory, the possibility of a cover-up. Critics point to multiple missteps in the investigation: the failure to carry out a promised door-to-door leaflet drop, the delay in cordoning off key search areas, and the PSNI's decision to deny overtime for officers the night Noah went missing, citing budget constraints. More significantly, police sought a public interest immunity (PII) certificate, which was granted in 2022. The certificate allows portions of case documents to be withheld from public view. Authorities insist the redactions relate only to intelligence sources and methods, but the move was met with widespread backlash. Over 300,000 people signed a petition demanding transparency. Fiona Donahoe and her legal team have raised concerns that the PII could be used to shield informants or internal failures, not national security secrets. Adding to public doubt was the fact that the 3:30 a.m. CCTV footage, potentially critical to understanding Noah's mental and physical state, was withheld from his family for years. To many, this was not a bureaucratic delay, but an intentional omission. Supporters of this theory argue that if someone in the community, perhaps a paramilitary figure, a police informant, or even a trusted adult in Noah's life, was involved, police may have avoided pursuing that lead to protect a source, avoid unrest, or preserve their own reputation. In Belfast, such suspicions are not unfounded. Past examples of collusion and institutional secrecy give weight to the idea that plausible deniability sometimes takes precedence over justice. There is, however, no confirmed evidence of a cover-up. Police and the coroner maintain there was no foul play, no suspect, and no information being hidden that would alter the core findings. The sealed material under the PII, they insist, does not relate to how Noah died. Still, for those who believe this theory, the pattern of secrecy, delay, and unexplained gaps adds up to more than incompetence. It suggests that the truth is known by someone, but deliberately obscured.
Okay, this is just the last bit, folks, now.
Noah Donahoe's death was not inevitable, but the circumstances that led to it, while deeply tragic, appear in the clearest light to have been accidental. And not because the story is simple, but because every attempt to complicate it drifts further from the available evidence. To understand what most likely happened, it's necessary to look at this case not through the lens of mystery, but of escalation. A series of small, strange moments that, when stacked together, created something that looks like foul play, but isn't. He left home for what was supposed to be a trip to Cave Hill, but instead he ended up far off course, moving north through the city. Whether that was a wrong turn or something he'd planned, we still don't know. What we do know is that witnesses saw him fall from his bike. Moments later, he was seen naked and disoriented, clear signs of panic, injury, or both. And the tunnel he entered? It was open, unsecured, accessible to anyone who stumbled upon it that day. When trying to account for what followed, we don't need to invent someone else. We need to look at the conditions, the psychology, and the environment. One aspect that's often under-discussed is how quickly mental state can deteriorate after head trauma, particularly in adolescents. Even mild concussions can produce irrational behavior, sensory confusion, and sudden emotional shifts, especially when combined with adrenaline, fatigue, or fear. What looks bizarre may simply be the compounding effect of shock, disorientation, and escalating panic. Some have pointed to the removal of clothing as inexplicable, but in both clinical and environmental emergencies, paradoxical undressing is documented. It's not common, but it happens, especially when someone believes they are overheating, even while in cold conditions. That doesn't require a conscious decision. It just requires the brain believing in that moment that something is wrong and trying to fix it. The unlocked drain is critical. Its lid wasn't forced. It wasn't hidden. It had been left unsecured by a maintenance worker a week earlier. Most people wouldn't go near it. But a frightened teenager, possibly injured, possibly fleeing something only he perceived, he might. Once inside, the world above disappears. No light, no clear path, no help. The tunnel system under Northwood is difficult even for trained professionals with equipment. For a barefoot 14-year-old in panic, it was lethal. Noah made it almost a kilometer inside before he stopped moving. That's not consistent with a body being placed. That's active effort, at least initially. That distance suggests someone trying to move forward, possibly seeking an exit or simply following the current. He may have crawled, walked, or been swept at points. The autopsy showed no major injuries, just immersion. There's also a procedural layer to this. What didn't happen that might have saved him? The failure to authorize overtime that night meant police resources were limited at a critical early moment. The search began in earnest, but the area wasn't fully secured, and key sites weren't immediately identified as priority zones. Noah may have been alive when the search began. He may have been in that drain system while people walked the streets above. The 3:30 a.m. trip that morning captured on CCTV is unsettling, but strange behavior doesn't equal foul play. And the delay in revealing that footage doesn't change the chain of physical evidence that led Noah into the drain later that day. Even the condition of Noah's body, sometimes cited as suspicious, is more likely explained by environmental preservation. In cold, enclosed, low-oxygen conditions, decomposition slows naturally. It doesn't require staging, just time and biology. What keeps this case alive in the public consciousness isn't what's known, it's what feels unfinished. And that's valid. There were failures, delays, missed details, a lack of transparency. And Fiona Donahoe's campaign for full clarity is not just justified, it's necessary. The public has the right to be suspicious when information is withheld. But suspicion should not be confused with evidence. Noah's story became a magnet for theories because it defies what we think should happen. Bright children don't just vanish, but sometimes a wrong turn becomes a tragedy. Sometimes panic becomes fatal. Sometimes no one is watching when it matters most.
Okay, so that's basically it, folks. Okay, So a lot to take in there, a lot of factors to look at. So let's go back very quickly before I go on to the next thing I'm going to show you here. Let's go back to the middle of the night when Noah decided to sneak out. Once again, Noah sneaked out, at 3:30 a.m. and he returned at 4:05 a.m. When he left, he was wearing his shorts, flip-flops, and t-shirt. I don't know if he was wearing a t-shirt. Yes, t-shirt, shorts, flip-flops, and he had his headphones as well. When he came back, he had no flip-flops and he had no headphones also. Also, it has come out that when were the bodies concerned, there was he was in a storm drain with a lot of water. He was classed as obviously being drowned, but it's actually come out there was very little water in his body. And that's all I'm going to say because I need to be careful myself. This could go on for a long, long time. Will we ever find the truth? Hopefully this inquiry that they're doing at the moment will reveal something. When Noah went missing, as I said in the video, certain parts of the area around where he went missing were not sealed off. The bin men were still allowed to empty the bins. People were still allowed to make deliveries. It's not right. It's not right. And this is all came out. Just to let you know, folks, there's actually a YouTube channel on, obviously YouTube, called Anything Goes. It's by a Scottish guy. I can't remember his name. And there's a full interview with Fiona Donahoe on it. I would advise you to watch it because it's very, very interesting. She has got the facts. She has done a lot of investigation herself, and she seems to have a lot of information there. I actually watched it today. Carrie says, I just hope the outcome of the inquiry can bring this poor mummy some peace and allow her to begin properly grieving the horrendous loss of her son. Absolutely, Carrie, But what of the laptop? This is the last thing I'm going to say about this. What about this laptop that this man supposedly found in Royal Avenue? They did say that the CCTV corroborated that he did find it in Royal Avenue. And how did it end up back at the hostel, which is either, again, next door or across the road from the hostel that Fiona Donahoe had complained about because of the behaviour and the goings-on around this hostel? Is that a coincidence? And what about the girl lying in bed? They went in and searched the room, took out the laptop, let her go back to sleep. They knew it was Noah's laptop, that she was not arrested. What happened there? The night before, her and one of the guys who she had reported, apparently, had attacked Noah. She went with one of these guys to try to pawn the laptop in a pawn shop, but the pawn shop would not take it because it didn't have a charger. There's a lot of questions, folks. There is a lot of questions. Okay, so the next video I'm going to show you here, this is a doctor. Now, this doctor is in America. I think he's in America. My accent's got, me and accents, I'm not very good. And he gives his, is the word synopsis of it? He gives his view of it as an onlooker. There is some information comes out here to this stage that I have not mentioned. And when I was gathering this information today, I didn't know some of this information. So what I actually did was I've cut half the video out because the half of the video just goes through what we have just seen. So where this video starts is his view. Now, as far as I know, I think this is a doctor of, I think he's maybe a doctor of criminology or a doctor of something or whatever. But this is his view. Listen to this.
Spreading baseless and inaccurate rumors. They have asked for all speculation about Noah's case to stop.
Okay.
Now moving to my analysis. There have been many theories about what happened to Noah, but essentially this case comes down to two competing schools of thought. Either Noah's death involved foul play, or it did not. If evil operators were involved, they could have murdered Noah for any number of reasons. Maybe it was a crime based on his race or religion, or somebody killed him to steal his property. If this case did not involve any evil operators, then Noah must have drowned accidentally, or he brought an end to his own life. Maybe he had mental health symptoms. For example, psychosis could explain an accidental drowning, and depression could explain intentional behavior. This brings me to the question, was foul play involved in Noah's death? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that Noah was a victim of foul play, starting with the factors that support this theory. Noah's mother did not notice any problems with his behavior prior to his death. His best friend didn't notice any problems either. On the day Noah disappeared, he was riding his bicycle in an area of Belfast that was known to be dangerous. At some point, he was separated from his belongings. This is consistent with being robbed. It is very unusual for a teenager to climb into a storm drain, even if they did intend on harming themselves. How did Noah's body move over 3,000 feet through a dark and cramped storm drain tunnel? Even those searching for him struggled to navigate those tunnels. Noah had very little water damage to his body, which is inconsistent with the idea that he was in the tunnel for 6 days. People who knew Noah believed he was not familiar with the area where the storm drain was located, like he had never been there before. If Noah's death did not involve any foul play, why did the police resist the release of any information? Their behavior is phenomenally suspicious for this type of case. It's difficult to believe that a police informant was involved in the investigation. What type of informant would have information about storm drain tunnels? Did this informant study storm drain activity, hoping that one day the information would pay off? Like instead of studying drugs or gangs, he decided to bet on a long shot. Now moving to the factors that contradict the theory that foul play was involved in Noah's death. About 14 hours before Noah left on his fateful journey, he had snuck out of his apartment during a rainstorm and remained outside for 35 minutes. This bizarre behavior could be consistent with mental health symptoms. He may have been acting erratically. As far as the argument that Noah was not familiar with the storm drain, sneaking out of the apartment supports the idea that Noah was familiar with a lot more than people thought. There was a side to him that others didn't know. Noah was riding a bicycle when the unusual events started occurring, like the loss of his backpack and the loss of his clothing. How would someone robbing him have removed his backpack while he was moving on a bicycle? Furthermore, why didn't Noah seek help? He had plenty of opportunity. He was in a crowded area when he was separated from his backpack. A motorist even exited a vehicle in order to help Noah, but he climbed back on his bicycle and rode away. Even if Noah was somehow robbed, this doesn't explain why he removed his clothing. Clearly, no one else caused the removal. Noah did that himself. Similarly, Noah's contact with the storm drain was initiated through his own behavior. He walked to the storm drain. No one was with him. No one forced him into the tunnels. As far as mental health factors, there was evidence that Noah was depressed and may have had other problems. For example, in the time leading up to his disappearance, he told friends that he was feeling blue. He looked for advice on how to keep Satan away, and he may have struggled with his sexuality. For example, Noah talked about being in denial and coming out. On June 16, 5 days before he went missing, he appeared to be depressed at school. On June 18, he sent a text message to a friend which read, quote, "Ask yourself, are you truly happy with the things in your life?" Unquote. On June 20, he talked to a friend about risks that must be taken in life. Noah had become obsessed with a self-help book written by the famous mental health clinician Jordan Peterson. He had a copy of the book in his backpack. Noah even tried to get in contact with Jordan Peterson through an Instagram account that Noah incorrectly believed belonged to Jordan. The police investigated and found that the Instagram account was fake, and Noah never actually communicated with Jordan or any of his helpers. On June 21, the day Noah disappeared, Jordan Peterson released a podcast about Sodom and Gomorrah. Noah searched the internet for the term Sodom and Gomorrah only hours before taking his fateful bicycle journey. The podcast referred to baptism and a return to water as the source of life. Noah ended up dying in water. When considering all the evidence, do I think that Noah died as a result of foul play? No, I believe that mental health symptoms and poor choices led to Noah's death. Here's what I think happened in this case. This is just a theory, my opinion. In the time leading up to Noah's death, he developed depression and psychosis. He started having a lot of thoughts about the meaning of life and religion. Some of these thoughts were intrusive and frightening. For example, Noah mentioned his desire to keep Satan away. Looking for answers about spirituality, Noah turned to the work of Jordan Peterson. Jordan is a doctoral level mental health clinician, but much of his content is related to religious beliefs. Noah became fixated on the idea of redemption through baptism. He developed a belief that he needed to remove his clothing and be submerged in water to be free from sin. This belief was held with a tremendous level of conviction and urgency. At some point, Noah separated from reality. He became psychotic. On June 21, 2020, Noah snuck out during a rainstorm in order to be baptized in the water, but this did not satisfy his intrusive thoughts. Later, when he was riding his bicycle, he took a more direct approach. He discarded his belongings, removed his clothing, and made his way to the storm drain. Noah climbed into the drain and drowned as a result. It's not clear if his death was accidental or intentional, but either way, he was reckless. Now moving to my final thoughts. Regardless of what caused Noah's death, the police should release the information collected during their investigation. It is in the best interest of the public to know the truth about what happened. For the police to keep secrets in a highly mysterious case and then admonish the public for speculating reveals how disconnected they are from how people process information. They are causing people to be fearful and maybe even paranoid. If the police have such a poor understanding of mental health and personality factors, their competence could be called into question. Those are my thoughts on the case of Noah Donahoe. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue.
And there you go. So was it mental health? Was he having problems? Apparently he'd been, according to this guy, depressed in school. He was following this Robert Patterson. He was a mental clinician, but he also was connected to religion. Had the wee boy been going through mental health issues as well that maybe his mum hadn't picked up on? We could sit here all night, folks, and we could sit and speculate. As Carrie said there, I just hope the outcome of this inquiry can bring his poor mum some peace and allow her to begin, I'm reading it again, I know, properly grieving the horrendous loss of her son. So we're just going to have to watch carefully and see what actually happens with this and what way does it go. Just bear in mind, folks, this is a person we're speaking about. This is someone's son, someone's grandson, a member of someone's family. This is a life. It's not just a story. This is a little boy's life. He was 14. And I just want to say that in respect that we're not just sitting here gossiping about it. You know, we need to look at the facts. But hopefully the facts will come out and there will be answers. 10 for Life says, this was such an unusual case. Rest in peace, young man. And I just want to repeat again, there's a YouTube channel called Anything Goes. It's a Scottish fella. He's got white teeth. I can't remember what you call him. But he does a full interview with Fiona Donahoe. It's fascinating. If anybody's on YouTube, I would advise you to go and watch it, because I actually watched it today. And that girl knows her stuff. That girl has been through it, and she has studied every nook, cranny, and whatever. So if you ever get a wee chance, go and have a look. The YouTube channel is called Anything Goes. Our Tim probably knows who it is. I can't remember what you called the guy. Right, folks, before we finish tonight, last week, this is completely different. I just thought I would do this. We're talking about, the public, and Michelle says we will have to do a part 2 to this story. Yes, Michelle, we will. When we get answers, we'll come back and look at the facts and look to see exactly what did happen to poor Noah. God love him. God love him. He was the wee child, whatever happened. Nobody should have to bury a child. Rest in peace, Noah. And my thoughts are always with Fiona and the rest of Noah's family. Okay, now this next thing, this is just our last thing before I go. Last week on the break, we did a little thing. It was a little video about what would you do in this situation. And there was one that I wanted to show last week that I couldn't find, but I actually found it. So I'm going to finish off with this tonight. Tim Forsay Life says, evening Michelle, how's the bus? Jackie McFarlane says, God bless him and his family. So this is a wee video. Do you remember the ones I did last week? Obviously I can't play the music again because of copyright, so I'm just going to talk with it when it shows, okay? So watch. Ricky says, so sad. Yeah. So this is a video about, again, what would you do in this situation? And starts off, I'll just let you watch it and I'll talk with it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the volume off, because I have to turn the music off because it's copyrighted songs. TikTok you can put it on, but on YouTube you can't. How long actually is the video? No, it's over the minute. If it's under a minute, then Ricky says mental health education needs to be taught more in schools also. Absolutely, Ricky. Absolutely, Ricky, because you see, the thing about it is, Ricky, too, some of these subjects about mental health and depression and all can be still a taboo subject, and it shouldn't be. That's what we're here for. This is what the Charterhouse is here for. It's all about communication and talking, people getting together, sharing how they're feeling, and seeking the help that they require. It's just unbelievable. Michelle says she's fully fueled and waiting for our next outing. Do you know something? I might do a Norway coach trip next week, because I know you enjoy them. So maybe we'll do a Norway coach trip next week. Christmas shopping coach trip. We'll do one of them next week. Bye bye. Okay, folks. So I'm gonna stick this wee video on. It only lasts a minute or so. I don't want you to watch this, and I'm going. Of course, you know me. I'm going to give a running commentary here in the background. So watch this. Okay. So here we are. Fella sitting in a restaurant, having problems. He can't eat. He's really, really struggling to eat. And people are watching. What would you do? You're having a debate. Now, them two seem to be having words there, but she's got up regardless. By the way, folks, he's an actor, by the way, and she gets up and helps him. There's somebody's just pinched her wallet. Your man's just seen it there and has done absolutely nothing about it. He's pinched the wallet. He looked round, did absolutely nothing about it. There's somebody's well, he did something about it. There you go. Just pinched her wallet. There she's. Oh, jeez, she's giving him a piece of his mind. Oh, that big. Oh, look, just the whole conglomeration. Get on. He stopped him there. Right, this guy is in a restaurant. This is hard to see. This guy is in a restaurant and basically he has nothing. He's sitting there eating and they're all watching him. I think he's eating bread and water. He doesn't have anything. You'll go back to him in a minute. They're all watching him there. He's sitting eating a bit of bread and a bit of water. I think he's asking for a bit of help and they're ignoring him. That fella sees him. The fella's counting a couple of shillings that he has in his pocket there. And he goes away. So the fella goes away and he's calling him back. And he's bought him a meal. He's actually given him half of his own milk. And he's given him a meal. So it just shows you sometimes the community help. Sometimes the community don't. The pickpocket gangs are back in their huge numbers in Tenerife again, Tim says. Just be aware. Well, I'm not going to Tenerife, Tim. I'm going to Benidorm, dear. Sheva Gogan says, a Christmas shopping trip. Yes. So next week we will be doing a Christmas coach trip. Why do you do this to me? Because you all know I friggin' hate Christmas. By the way, did you all like the new design? I tarted hang on. Do you like that? I tarted it up a wee bit there and put a wee Christmas tree on. And a wee bit of holly. I'm trying to get into the festive spirit, but it's not working. Okay, but just before I go, just a wee quick update. I just want to say thank you to everybody who did help out with the toy appeal. The toys that I had in my house are now gone. Stuart going to Benidorm, God help them. Yeah, I'm going in January, Tim. Very nice, Stuart. Thank you, Jackie. Ho, ho, ho. Carrie says, yes, all the toys are now gone. Well, all the toys were gone, but then more arrived today, but not as much as what there was. And then our Michelle's got some as well. And I just want to say a very, very special thank you to Ricky. Ricky, who took me on a wee run. I didn't sound very good. Me and him went dogging. Yes, I want to say thanks to Ricky for giving me a wee bit of a lift there on Monday to do a few messages and stuff regarding the group. So thank you so much, Ricky, for your help. You came all the way up from Belfast, picked me up, took me back into Belfast again to do something. Then we came back up and went to Woodsides and picked up toys from there. And then he brought me back up home. So I just want to say, Ricky, thank you so much for your help. And thanks to everybody who did donate. Thanks to everybody who donated in the raffle as well. So hopefully there is some little children out there whose families are struggling, will get a little bit of something this Christmas, you know. It's hard to believe in this day and age, you know, that there's some children basically don't get very much. Some children don't get anything. You know, it's just unbelievable. But the thing about it is, look the way people are living at the moment. Things are so expensive. It's just unbelievable. Like, we're sitting here in 2025. It's not 1825, you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous, you know. Okay, folks, just a quick reminder. Auntie Lillian will be here on Thursday night at 8 o'clock with her, what is it? It's Lillian's Price is Right. Don't ask me what it's about, because I haven't done anything yet. But it's on this Thursday night. That's Lillian's Price is Right. 8 o'clock. It will be on Chatterhouse on Facebook and also Chatterhouse on YouTube at 8 o'clock. And then we'll be back the following Tuesday with our Christmas shopping special coach trip. Back by popular demand. I didn't think these coach trips would be popular, but everybody seems to love them. Temper Life says, 10% Life says, come on down, the price is right. Great life, sure, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. Jackie, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's nice to be appreciated, as McGrady says. And Ricky also says there are still good people out there. There is, Ricky, but you know what the problem is? They're very far and few between these days. You know. Listen, folks, thanks very much for coming in tonight. Something different, something important, something needs to be highlighted. And if we can highlight it and talk about it, that's what it's all about. That's what the Chatterhouse is all about. Once again, if you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube and you know anybody who would like to join the Chatterhouse, get them in. Get them in, get them involved. Something for them to do, especially in these these horrible cold nights, you know. Well, look, folks, thanks very much for joining me tonight. I will see you all very soon. And once again, rest in peace, Noah. Hopefully the truth will come out soon and we'll finally find out what happened to you. Rest easy and take care. Good night, folks. You all look after yourselves. Night night. And as Tim says, good night and sleep well. Hi on. Here's the tactical stuff now. Good night, folks.